Hey folks, how you doing? Welcome back to the Leeds View for the match review for Leeds versus West Ham United. I've got the wrong one up on the screen. I've still got the wrong one up on the screen. We'll get that fixed now in 2 seconds. Hope you're all well. I don't. Do we enjoy that or did we not enjoy that? I don't know what to say. I think it's a game very much of two halves. Really good first half from Leeds United. I thought we were absolutely excellent in the first half. Second half, I suppose we can talk about it a little bit. We can find out if we thought there was a deliberate decision to sit off, or were the changes that were enforced, did they actually make it? Where the changes enforced? Was Jack Harrison enforced change at halftime to come on? So it'll be interesting to see what Daniel Farke says. Did Noah Okafor only have 45 minutes in him? Was there a tactical decision made to give him the first 45 to try and get something on the board, which we did, and then maybe take him away? Or was there a decision made at halftime, or is the injury that he picked up a little bit worse than it was? Gabby Goodmunson going off injured as well. And it just affected that entire left-hand side of the field for Leeds United, which was going really well in the first half. The link-up play when Jacobi on the left-hand side, Gabby Goodmunson and Noah Okafor. There was some lovely play in the first half, link-up play. But then by the time you start the second half, that entire left side's pretty much not played together. Jacobi, all James Justin, who I thought was very good. And then on the left-hand side of the pitch, you had Jack Harrison, who's naturally going to be more defensive-minded than Noah Okafor, who'll try and go forward. But yeah, we'll get to people's comments in a minute. We'll try and break this up. There's a lot of positives. There's a lot of positives from this game. There's some negatives as well. I always like to balance things out. I'm not a happy clapper. I'm not a doomsday merchant, but I do like to look for cracks in a lot of things. And there's a pattern emerging with Leeds United starting second halves, sitting back. And that's happened in a couple of matches now. I think we saw in the first half that when Leeds press from the front and Leeds are on the front foot, they're a much better side and they can really dictate it. I thought we made West Ham look like a better side in the second half than they probably actually are. In the first half, we made them look incredibly average. And we'll go through the first half and the second half. We'll get a couple of comments, loads of comments, so I apologize if I don't get to you. But Smudger is saying, poor second half from Leeds, no clean sheet again. Ethan Ampadu switches off and just lets the player run to the box. Keeps happening, and he was excellent today. I thought Ethan Ampadu was excellent. Sky Sports gave man the match to Joe Rodon, who was very good as well. I thought Brendan Aronson had a really good game for Leeds today as well, going forward and defending. He did a lot of hard work, got through a lot of miles today. I thought he was really good, but I thought Ethan Ampadu was excellent today. But that little moment where you just see him go and let the player go, and then the goal happens. We just got to stop switching off. So we'll get into it. And as Dan is saying here, lots to critique, and we shall critique it. Ian is saying, great to get 3 points, but why sit back in the second half? We could have just stayed as dominant as that. We could have, I think we finished off with less possession than them at home to a side that are West Ham are a bad team. Lucas Paqueta, excellent. Fantastic. Jarbone, very good. Rest of them, not so much. Delighted with the 3 points, but my nerves can't handle this. I'm as big a happy clapper as you'll meet, but that second half was infuriating. Thank God we held on. Second half, not great, but first half was brilliant. That's it, Barry. And that's how we should talk about it. This was very much a game of two halves. Fantastic by Leeds in the first half. Probably as good as we've been this year. Second half, we've seen that second half. It was very Burnley-esque as well. And that's not good enough. And that can't be part of what we do. I said over on our watch along, if we manage to keep a clean sheet, the narrative is great second half and West Ham came at us. Did they really? Or did we let them come at us? And I'll talk about that and where I get that. But the first half was really, really good. Rob Graham having a fight at us on Sky. Disappointing. Great win, but a hard match to watch in the second half. We sat back. Rob Graham having a dig at us. Okay, fair enough. My God, that second half, we should have stayed on the front foot at pace. In the last 5 minutes, I've aged 100 years when they scored. Good, hard-fought victory. Should it have been a hard-fought victory, though? Or should Leeds have pushed for a third goal after being so good in the first half? Should they have come out in the second half and gone for them? I know they made some changes that changed the game, but we saw them against Brentford. They're not good. They're not good. And I don't think we put a huge amount of pressure on them. Hello, Michael. How are you doing, mate? Luke is saying 3 points. Brendan, man the match for me. Yeah, I thought he was excellent today. Probably as good a game as he's ever put in a Leeds United shirt, up there with his game against Chelsea, which it was the last time he scored a Premier League goal. And a goal the week of his birthday as well. It was nice for him to get that. Tough second half. 3 points, baby, says Barry Dunn. It is 3 points. And that should be all we talk about. There's always at least one person who comes in and shouts at me in the comments after we've done the live saying, it's 3 points, shut up moaning. That's the point of a review. We review the entire thing, good and bad. So we'll go through it in a few minutes and get through a couple of the comments. We clung on for the win. West Ham were so bad. It should have been easier. Yep. My luck, I got home from work, missed the 2 Leeds goals. Second half, we did. Sorry. I'm just thinking about, don't come home. Don't come home. Stay. If we're winning the game, don't come home and ruin it on us, okay? Don't do that. Again, I hate how we shrink at the end of games, but excellent first half. Commentators here in the US were having a slight dig at sitting back. Also, Stuart Dallas said it. Daniel Farke will be annoyed that he's conceded, but Leeds sat back. Leeds sat back. And that was Stuart Dallas that's saying that, not me. Don't come at me. Go find Stuart Dallas. Brendan's best game in a Leeds United shirt. Tiger says, thought the game showed we need more flair. If Okafor is not on the pitch, we were negative second half and invited pressure. Completely agree. Should have put the foot down. But a win at the end of the day feels good, and it opens a 7-point gap between us and them. When I do say something negative about this game, I will balance it out with the positive stuff as well, because I think there is a lot of good and bad. So if you don't like what I'm saying with the negative stuff, hang on 5 seconds. I'll get to the positive stuff as well. When Okafor goes off, he's missed immediately. There's a whole different change. It's not just Okafor. It is part of it, because he stays high and he likes to push on. He's side on all the time so he can go left or right. But if you look at Leeds in the first half, every time West Ham played out with the ball to their centre-backs, Leeds had 4 players there. Aronson, DCL, Okafor, and then Tanaka, pushing in behind them. In the second half, when they came out with the ball, Leeds were in their own half. So Leeds made a decision not to come forward. Now, people will say, well, West Ham came at us and West Ham had to come at us and they pushed us back. I don't think they did push us back. I think we made a calculated decision to sit back and maybe try and pick them off. But we didn't have the players on the pitch to pick them off. When Dan James comes on, I thought Metch and Dan James probably should have come on 80th minute. Metch to hold it up, Dan James to run beyond. DCL and Aronson were very good, but give them a break. They got through an awful lot of ground today and we're looking leggy. Sean Longstaff as well. Really good first half from Sean Longstaff. Vanished in the second half. Wasn't pressing Paqueta at all. Wasn't getting out. Vanished in the second half. And then Tanaka gets taken off for Gruev, who did okay when he came on. Again, he does the stuff he's there to do. He wins tackles. He's awkward. He makes fouls when he needs to make fouls. Fine. But I think I would have brought Stack on at that point for Longstaff. But yeah, I'm not the gaffer, so I don't make those calls. We're in the Premier League now, so good result. Yeah, but we can't always be on the defeatist side of things of going, well, we're just happy to be here and we'll take the points where we can get them. We could have done more in that game. We could have got 3. Aside from one misplaced pass like Biel. Yep, good, solid. And he dealt with Callum Wilson, who's not an easy striker to deal with, physical striker. A valuable victory. We should have stayed on the front foot at pace, especially against the Hammers. The way they've played last 5 minutes. Nearly killed me, especially when they got to go. Yeah, I agree with you with that. I'm very happy, but Jesus, Harrison is not a Premier League player. We'll say that all day long. Harrison is not the answer. Biel was immense and looked more solid. I hope Gabby's injury isn't too serious. I hope it's just a bang in his back and he's just a bit numb and he'll get through it. Had a really tough day, then the result. We'll take that, June. We'll take that every day of the week. Nanto should be back next week. We're told to be back this week. Hopefully gets him back sooner rather than later. Okafor, very important. And there were people who called him shite when we signed him. And now we see how important he is when he's on the pitch. 3 points, that's what matters. It is, but we have to talk about performances as well because they have a habit of catching up on you. And again, balance it. First half, great. Second half, not so much. Ampadu asleep again for the goal. Just, if you look at his body, as he's walking, kind of walking out, and he kind of just does that to somebody, like, you get him. And that was what Stack did as well last week. You get him. You get him. You get him. Just deal with it, and then we can talk about it afterwards. Brendan Aronson put in a real shift. Gruev had a good 15 minutes, came on to do what he did. Barry, next few games are so difficult. Aronson man in the match. Biel looked nervous most of the first half. I don't necessarily. That's funny, people saying he looked absolutely solid and Steve saying he looked shaky. I didn't think he looked shaky at all. That looked very solid. He got dragged out of position once. At one point, got across the first half and that caused their goal. That was disallowed, but got away with it, I suppose. We sat back far too much in the second half. We should be punished for playing back. We would be punished for playing our teams. Harrison gave us nothing. If Okafor had bent that chance into the net, if Ethan Ampadu, his run forward, agreed, Jer, manager's decision to sit back. I think it was a tactical decision. Keep us a clean sheet. It's a great decision. Don't keep a clean sheet. You're going to be questioned for it. West Ham had no fight. Could have been 3 or 4 if we kept pressing. 3 Price's points. The win was the most important thing tonight. Rode on incredible tonight as well. Yeah, I thought he was very good, Julie. Not convinced. Not convincing. We should have done a lot better. West Ham were very, very poor. I feel we are blunt up front. That said, well done to Leeds. Rest. Absolutely. They did do a lot of work tonight, Leeds. With a 2-0 lead, you can't risk taking Okafor if he's 100%. Yeah, I agree with that. I think if it's a case that they just saw, and this is where you'll balance it out. Sometimes you'll criticize a manager for not playing a player, but at some point you go, well, maybe start him for 45 minutes and then take him off. Get the benefit out of him early, which is maybe what Daniel Farke did. And if he did that, then he deserves credit for that because that's it. But maybe a Dan James on the second half, rather than Brendan Aronson, than a Jack Harrison, sorry. A poor performing side felt very dominant and comfortable for bigger parts of the game as the away side, not good. No, not an Ellen Road. I thought the second half was passive. That's been a team this year as well. Aronson man the match. BL looks like a real player. See, there's the balance out. Do you think, Jer, if we face Brighton like we did against West Ham, I think if we play any of the better sides the way we played in the second half, we get beaten. I think if we play the better sides the way we played in the first half, physical, in their face, aggressive, all the things I asked for this week, I think we can do some stuff. I do think there's more. I just wish we'd more belief in these players, because I think when they're on the front foot, they're good. They are good. They are a good side. Second half was poor. Aronson's best game. Great result, says Liam. 2-1 was my prediction. Why does Farke go down the defensive route when we were ahead? Yeah, against Wolves as well. 3-0, sat back, conceded. 0-0 against Fulham. Sat back, tried to get a point, conceded. The lapse in concentrations come from sitting back and defending. Yeah, it was said in our stream as well. You cannot sit back for 45 minutes like Leeds did and try and defend and not switch off at some point. It's tough. It is so hard to play football when you don't have the ball. You do more running. You have to be concentrating an awful lot more. You're constantly watching what's going on. Your brain's a million miles an hour. It's better to have the ball and try and manage the game. Keep possession and pass it around. Seems like Mr. Miguel plays the same as Mr. Lynch later going on the mission with. Yeah, thanks, Danny. Appreciate that, man. Break people up, Danny. Break people up. Should be on 14 points. Well, we got 3 more tonight. We'll take it. We'll take a few. Far better going forward than we are sitting back. Right, there's loads of comments. I'm not gonna catch up, so I'll come back to them in a few minutes' time. I'll park where I am here. Barry's just saying, in Sicily, Jer, plenty of red wine at 11:30 p.m. here, and I'm happy, my boy, on my holidays. Good stuff, mate. I hope you have a great time. Right, let's talk about the game. Let's get into it in a bit more detail. Stats are on the screen. You can keep an eye on them. First half. We'll start with the first half incidents. Positives of the first half. Right, we'll weigh this up. Funny enough, all the positives I have for the first half become all the negatives in the second half, but that's balance, I suppose. Positives, very physical in the first half by Leeds United. Very, very physical. We moved the ball quickly. We're fast in transitions up and down the park. That's what I want to see from Leeds United. Transitions in the Premier League are so important. You've got to be switched on and do it quickly. And Leeds did in the first half. Very, very good. The link-up play wide was excellent. Left-hand side specifically, Gabby Goodmunson and Noah Okafor have a really good understanding there. I thought Yacobial also helped him out there as well and was very, very good in that first half. Aronson called him out in the first half. Great work rate. Worked hard, got his goal, was in a really good place to get it. Ethan Ampadu in the first half, I thought was sensational. He won so many second balls. He cleaned up so well across the park. He was moving the ball really, really well. And he even has 2 breaks forward. The criticism of both of his breaks forward, great to see. He burst through the lines. Love to see that. But then he's got to let it go at the right time. He hangs on to it a little bit too long. And in the first one, has to check onto his left foot and tries to bend the ball into the far corner. I'm laughing now again because you just don't expect to see Ethan Ampadu doing that. But possibly should release the ball a bit earlier. And Leeds might get something from that. Does it again a bit later on. Again, doesn't release it early enough to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He gets caught in possession then. But outside of that, hell of a first half from Ethan Ampadu, and I wanted to see that from Leeds United. The negatives in the first half, there was a couple of loose passes. That was all. Sean Longstaff, very, very good in the first half. He has a little tendency sometimes, though, to pass the ball into areas that he expects players to be in, and they're not always there. So sometimes he can give possession away instead of just taking a simple ball. But no, Okafor is probably guilty for that at times as well. Trying big, long diagonal crosses, balls across the park when a 5-yard pass is probably the better option to keep possession. So nitpicking with that in the first half. But overall, in the first half, far more positive. What was pretty much an hour-long first half. That has to be said. That's a hell of a first half to play. And it probably showed in the second half a little bit, although less so for West Ham. You go through it. 3 minutes into the game, Leeds take the lead. Brendan Aronson goal. Jayden Bogle cross. Great header from Noah Okafor down to the ground. Good save by Areola and goal. Brendan is there to react to tap it into the back of the net. 9th minute then, chance for West Ham. Jared Bowen with an overhead kick. Lucas Perry can't really see it. I thought Lucas Perry was good today. If he kicks the ball long to Dominic Calvert-Lewin as accurately as he did in this game more often this season, especially in the first half when Calvert-Lewin had players playing off of him, I have no problem with that at all. But he palms the first one and then flicks the second one to Joe Rodon. Fine. Decent save considering he can't see what was going on in front of him. And it's an overhead kick. Joe Blackburn, who's the goalkeeper as well, made a very good point to me that you see an awful lot of goalkeepers punching in that situation. And people always ask, why do Leeds keepers punch the ball? In that situation, maybe that's exactly why you punch it and don't try and catch it, because it can slip. That was it. Good save for you, Lucas Perry. Good to get him back in goal. 10th minute then, I wrote down, good start by Leeds. Physicality is back. That's what I want to see from Leeds. 14th minute, we get a second goal. Joe Rodon with another goal from Leeds United. Very good header. More important than the header, Joe Rodon makes a lovely 360 spin around Lucas Paquetá to get on the end of that and head it into the bottom corner. Excellent stuff. Leeds in control, dominant, brilliant. I think Leeds at 66% possession or something at that stage. When you look at the possession by the end of the game, it shows you how big that swing was. in the second half. 29 minute, out Tanaka has a shot. Goodmunson does well on the left, feeds DCL, squares it to Tanaka, has a bit of space, probably should hit the target at least, but he gets underneath the ball, puts it over the crossbar. And then 31st minute is another chance for Leeds United for Okafor. Goodmunson, low cross. Sorry, Okafor gives it to Goodmunson, a low cross from him. Brendan gets across the front post, and he probably pulls out of it a little bit, where he should just strike across the ball. Good opportunity, but don't score. 35th minute then, West Ham score. It's ruled out for offside. Few issues with this. I talk an awful lot about Pascal Strout being dragged by strikers over the halfway line in places where he shouldn't go. Jacobi on this situation the first time. He does it as well with Callum Wilson, and Leeds never really got set back properly after that, and the ball goes in the back of the net. Luckily for Leeds, ruled out for an offside. 47th minute then, chance. This is where the times are going to get a bit silly, because I'm not doing the 45 plus whatever, but it gets a bit silly. 47th minute, Leeds have a chance. Okafor cuts inside, tries to bend it in the far corner, just goes wide. 54th minute, Jaden Bogle has a shot. Good link up. Brendan Aronson, lovely ball around the outside for Bogle to run in on goal. Smashes the ball. Probably should do better as well, but good work at Sean Longstaff in the build up to that goal as well. And then 56th minute, Souček has a header, gets above Joe Rowan and heads it just wide, and Leeds get a bit of a break there. And we go in at half time. And at half time, I was saying more of this from Leeds in the second half. We haven't started second halves particularly well this season. We've been the second side at the big first 10 minutes or so of the second half. But in this situation, it went on a bit longer. But yeah, same happened again. 50 minutes, West Ham started. I wrote down West Ham have started better. They've more the ball without really creating anything at that point. 58 minutes, Leeds a chance for Leeds. Brendan Aronson does it all himself, gets it in his own half, turns, runs at West Ham, keeps running, keeps going, and then shoots from the edge of the box, takes a deflection, hits the crossbar. 60 minute, I wrote down, Leeds have completely sat off. The front press is gone. So again, first half, Leeds are pressing from the front, stopping West Ham from building play. Second half, Lucas Paquetá starts to come into the game and dictate it, but Leeds are in their own half and not pressing. And poor Dominic Calvert-Lewin is left so isolated up front and expected to do wonders. And as they say, ploughing alone for up front. At that point, it was 58% possession to West Ham. 61st minute, Jack Harrison has a shot, goes straight at the goalkeeper, decent area from, gets a good shot on target. 63rd minute, Sean Longstaff, I wrote down, needs to start getting closer to Paquetá. He's not close enough. He's letting him dictate the game. He's a bit passive, Sean Longstaff, in the second half. Maybe he was tired. Maybe that's where a change should have been made. But first half, he's very good at it. Second half, he's standing off an awful lot more. 65th minute, Leeds midfield, I wrote, gone out of the game. Leeds midfield non-existent, except for Ethan Ampadu, who I thought was still trying and working. And he was getting fed up with people not getting close enough and tackling. Start giving away a few free kicks. 76th minute, still all West Ham. Leeds slightly in. Leeds haven't got out of their own half. And then in 89th minute, the goal comes. Jared Bowen cuts inside, crosses the ball in. Ethan Ampadu switches off. And Matheus Fernandes flicks the ball into the far corner. Not an awful lot Lucas Perry can do about that. So all in all, for the second half, the positives I wrote down, defended well, mostly, until that one moment. And it goes to show you in the Premier League that it's those single moments. You can't have one. If you switch off for a split second, you'll get punished. Even against the side who are as bad as West Ham are, and they are poor, really poor side. And then the negatives, sat back, invited pressure, didn't press, and let West Ham into the game when there was pretty much no need to let them in. They weren't good enough to grab this game by the scruff of the neck themselves, but we sat off. Now you can argue, and I will accept the argument. You can argue that Leeds defended and made a decision to defend in the second half, but did we need to? Did we need to sit back? Was what we were doing in the first half not working pretty well? I think it was. But, again, a side who are as anxious as their own manager called them and as fragile as West Ham are, we should have been going, especially in Ellen Road, we should have been going for the jugular to end up with 59% possession at the end of the game when you had 66% in the first half is a hell of a swing. And there needs to be a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for here? Belief in these players that keep going, lads. Keep doing what you're doing. I believe in them. I think they're good enough. But yeah, overall defended really well. Excellent first half. Sat back in the second half. Maybe the changes that we were forced to make didn't help the situation. That could be the situation. Changed the left-hand side an awful lot, and that's where West Ham got a lot of their joy from. But there was a clear decision from Leeds from the second half started to stop pressing from the front. I don't like that. Personal preference. You can like it if you want to. Personal preference. I don't. But they defended really well. We did limit them to pretty much no chances bar that one moment at the end of the game. That goes to show you it's fine margins in the Premier League. And that's where we are. But overall, it's 3 points. It's a great 3 points. It opens a 7-point gap between us and West Ham. You've got Forest and Brighton next. Try and get something in those two games if we can. Won't be easy. But try and get something in those two games. And then you've got the mother of all runs of games in December to try and look forward to. But we will work backwards from the chat. Draw at Brighton, beat Forest. Very happy with that. I take it right now. Giving teams that much possession will hurt us. Rodon man the match for me. Yeah, he's very good. I love him. I did think Ethan Ampadu was excellent by that one moment. And I did think Brendan Aronson was excellent as well. Paul says the Premier League is brutal. Switch off for a second and comes back to bite you. Paul, how you doing, mate? Thanks for following me over as well. We defended better than we should have had to. That's a really good way of putting it. We defended excellently, but did we have to? Martin says, Jerry, you can't understate Petis Vatribuyan tonight. Explain that to me, Martin. I don't know what that means. Rick is saying, so when we play a low block, DCL is completely ineffective, like playing a man down. Extremely poor tactics. I think it's more a case of he's isolated. He's on his own. And Tadibo's a decent physical centre-back as well. Can't play. I've played up front on my own. That's tough, man. That's a tough gig. You're chasing hopeless balls in the corner flags. You're running around with nothing else. And you have no one coming close to you trying to help you out. And then that's tough. First half, you look how effective DCL was. Link up play, flick-ons left and right. Really, really good. But when you drop off away from him, what can he do? Dave said, it's a win. That's the important thing. It is the important thing. It is. But I always say, don't ignore the little cracks because they become bigger down the road. And you can start to see some of these things come up. But yeah, ultimately 3 points is excellent. Longstaff fades out when the game's too early. Yeah, but we've got players that we can change. And this is what my point is with Daniel Farke's substitutions. You don't always have to make a change to change a game. You can just make a change to freshen things up. And Donny Iriola at Bournemouth, does that very well. He just freshens his team up at 58 minutes. Like for like changes. Fresher bodies in. And that was a tough gig tonight. 60 minutes of a first half is a hell of a shift. Hell of a shift. And the speed that they were playing at in the first half. It's tough. I don't underestimate that at all. But that's when you use your bench. James says, don't think he's good enough for the Premier League, but Aronson played a prime Maradona tonight. Well, if he plays like that every week, or more often than not, maybe he is good enough. But, you know, as they say, one swallow doesn't make a spring. So he needs to do more of that. But yeah, still it's that too deep late on. I would agree with you. Interesting that when Leeds conceded a goal, that Daniel Farke on the side and was telling the backline to get out. Then he was telling, but they should have been getting out 40 minutes earlier, you know. We tried a low block. Not sure it works well for us. Front foot killed the game. Yeah, we're never compact enough. There's always gaps in between to play with our low block. It's never, doesn't strangle teams. Tillen saying that Aronson man the match. I would have him definitely up there. All right. Richard said second half showed our lack of experience, quality, and fitness. Farke will probably get the blame for that. He picks the team. He makes the changes. Could he have made fresher changes in the second half? He probably could have. Yeah. Could he have told Leeds in the second half, first 10 minutes, get at them? Because if you watched them against Brentford, they didn't stop going at them. Rattled them. Maff says, hope Wolves, Forest and Hammers keep losing. Yeah, at the moment you're looking at Wolves and West Ham as being two that could go down, and then who joins them as the third one. Great to have 3 points in the bag. It absolutely is. We'll all sleep better over the weekend. And it puts pressure on all the other sides going into the weekend as well. I do not ever agree. That's fine. That's your opinion. But give me your opinion, mate. I'd like to know what you think as well. I don't mind people disagreeing with me. No issue at all. I'm just giving you my opinion on a camera on what I think. If you want to give your opinion, absolutely entitled to it, mate. Would love to hear it. Mark says, and Breed, now we can enjoy the weekend. Should have pushed on even, to even out our goal difference. Would agree with that. Paul says 3 points, good result. We'll take it. Absolutely. I think we will be safe, but only just. Should have been 3 or 4-0. Why are we so poor in defending Leeds? It's just concentration, I suppose. First half was cracking, play on the front foot at pace. That's Leeds at its best, and Hammers like rabbits in headlights. Then the second half, we let the Hammers come back into it. Aronson gives it all. Richard says everybody and his dog was walking through the West Ham midfield, so maybe Amps was surprised to get that. I think he probably was, but it's good to see him doing it. Aronson was great tonight. The tackle stats says it all for Leeds. Leeds 22. The tackles were Leeds 22 tackles, West Ham 13. West Ham passes 524, Leeds 366. Now, the manager once said to me, a good average passing rate for a game that says that you're in a positive ascendancy is that you've got over 400 passes per game. Paul says, never in doubt until half-time. Why build a team to dominate, then drop off and play defensive? Not our strength. And concede when you're winning. I would agree. Eric says it's not balanced here. It's the truth. But there's always good in every game, even if it's only individual moments. And there's always bad in games. You should never just ignore it, you know? Aronson man the match, Champions League next year, Jared. Well, hopefully, Dale, we can cross our fingers. Wrong button. Do not ever agree with the... Okay, that's fine. No hassle. No hassle. You went too early. You went too early. Sorry, I was way back in the chat at that point. But thanks for coming back. Appreciate that. Thanks, mate. Can I come out from behind the couch now? You can, absolutely. Huge credit to Farke. Huge credit to Farke. West Ham have way more quality. If West Ham have way more quality than us, we're getting relegated because they're going to go down. They're brutal. Brutal. And if you watched Brentford play them on Monday, they absolutely destroyed them. When their manager comes out and said they have anxiety, they have two players that I would take in our team. Lucas Paquetá and Jared Bowen. Outside of that, we have a better side. So I don't necessarily agree with that, Pat, but you're 100% entitled to your opinion, and I won't shout you down for it. Jason Niles said, I just don't like how we can clearly dominate a team, and then towards the end of the match, the team sits back. Either shows the timing of subs isn't working, or Farkin needs to stop putting the handbrake on. 29 more points to go. That's exactly it. Keep the count going. DCL is on for a hiding for nothing when we play like we did in the second half. He ran his arse off and harassed the centre-backs as much as he possibly could. There was no more that DCL could have done today. Nothing more. 7 wins left and a couple of draws as well. Good win. Absolutely. West Yorkshire extra game. Hey, Jared, good 3 points. We'll take it overall. In the context of everything, 3 points is massive. Yeah, absolutely. Brendan was really good tonight and we looked solid until the end. Hope Gigi will be okay. JJ, not the same type of player. Not the same player, but still very defended very well, James Justin. And that's why you bought him for that, right? Martin is great. It's not our strength. Bial defended okay, apart from disallowed goal. Hasn't got forward passing like Pascal. No. But we conceded 1, not 2. We conceded 2 in every game for the last 3 games. So, again, same with Perry's. The criticism of Perry's is footwork. I judge him on how many times the ball flies past him into the back of the net, more than anything else. The main part of the job is defend, and he did that. Bial today. I'm okay with that. Maybe some of the many Aronson haters will now wind the next in. They won't. Those who really don't like him will never like him. But I think you've got to be able to give credit. I mean, I'm not a fan of Jack Harrison, but in this game, I thought he did 2 or 3, actually did 2 things very, very well, taking pressure off Leeds defensively and clearing the ball well at times. So you can't ignore it just because you don't like the player. But Kevin says the last 20 minutes, they had 10 men in our half, so it's hard to get out as they had to risk it. Well, as soon as you clear a ball, Kev, that's when you get out. And when they're taking goal kicks, that's when you set up and get out. We didn't. We stayed in our half. We never made an attempt to get out. And that to me says it was a decision. Should Stack have come on? I think, 80 minutes, no problem. Bring him on. Fresh legs for Longstaff. Longstaff with some outstanding off the ball work. First half, phenomenal. Second half, knackered in the second half. Second half was dire. Good December is absolutely, God December is brutal. Absolutely is. Great not to concede first as well. That was nice to have. Evening, Matt. Hope you're doing well, mate. The Medford Messi, what a performance, deserved to go on his run. I don't think JJ did much wrong, but not as good. Yeah, Gabby Goodmunson's been very good. He's been a really good signing. Beat me to it, Jared. In terms of West Ham United only having 2 players of note, wish he'd managed Bowen better. I would take Jared Bowen and Lucas Paquetá in the morning. That's what they've got. They've nothing else. And even the commentator saying they need to get a striker. The fact that Stuart Dallas, who is probably Leeds more Leeds biased than most, said that Leeds dropped off in the second half. You know, the momentum graph shows it. It's all West Ham, second half. So, yeah. Too much negativity from the fan base. There's the comment. I said one would come in. There's too much negativity from the fan base. Perennial moaners, good chances, good performance overall. It wasn't a good performance overall. It was a very good 45 minutes. Second half, we defended well till we switched off. The question is, Dom, did we need to switch off? Did we need to sit back? Could we have kept going forward? You have to be able to criticize the team. You can't just blindly say, we got 3 points, great performance, brilliant stuff. That second half, and everyone is saying it, that second half wasn't good. You know, better sides will do worse things to us in those second halves. We defended very well. We limited them to stuff. But the midfield didn't press enough in the second half. And I've balanced this out. So to say perennial moaners, I don't accept that because I've just spent 10 minutes talking about how good the first half was. So I don't accept that, Dom. But you're entitled to your opinion. Do you think BL keeps a spot? I do. It seemed like they played to orders when Leeds retained possession and took the game to West Ham. They looked threatening against better opposition. We'll suffer. Yeah. The positive point of this, and the big positive of this is, when Leeds are on the front foot, we look like a very good side. I like this team. I like a lot of players that we've got in this side. I think there's an awful lot of good stuff in this. But I do think at times we decide to go for the more negative approach at times, more pragmatic approach at times, when maybe it's not needed. Maybe it's just, with the Premier League, every game is difficult. You've got to manage games correctly. And I'm no problem with Leeds sitting back at some point, but sit back 75, 80 minutes. I said this against Wolves as well. I said it against Fulham. But yeah, that first half was really good. And it was really, really good. And there's a positive to take. That first half is it for me. Paul, good evening, mate. You have no voice left. What was the vibe like in the ground, mate? I couldn't hear because of the watch along. Thought Perry was a bit shaky, but better distribution. Okay. I thought he made his save as well. I thought he did one weird save, but he still saved. He was very happy with the save. It was an unusual save, but he made it. No, we don't have to switch off. We are good enough to press. David says, would not be pressing more in the second half and scored another 2 goals. Right. Yep, absolutely. Switched off for the late goal. No offense, Jer. I think you expect too much. Maybe I do, Pat. Maybe I do. But I'm a Leeds fan and I expect more from my team. And I want them to do more. I believe there's an awful lot more in this side. I think there's some good players in this team. And I think the first half, when you look at how much they push forward, how good they were. And I'm balancing this out. You can't say I'm being negative. The first half was very, very good. Very, very good. We created some really good chances. We scored 2 great goals. Arguably should have scored maybe 1 or 2 more. Second half, I'll put this on the screen. We can talk, and you can tell me that I'm reading the game wrong, but when I look at, after watching the match and covering it, when you look at the second, this is the momentum graph. That's all West Ham. There's nothing from Leeds. And that's from less than halfway through the second half. I'm not saying it was bad. It wasn't bad. We got 3 points. I'm delighted with 3 points. But you've got to be able to come on here and talk about things properly. I'm not sure what people expect from a review of a post-match game. Did they expect us to come on for 5 minutes and just say, that was great, 3 points, walk away and just end the stream? Are we going to actually dig into the performance in its totality and talk about all of the incidents? Because I've spoken an awful lot about the first half and how good we were. And we were really, really good. Excellent. Left-hand side. Brilliant. Some lovely flowing moves. Some good interchange and passing. As I said, excellent in transitions. Second half, we set off. That's a fact. No point in hiding it and not talking about it. Shane says, keep doing what you're doing, mate. It's considered opinions. Yeah, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. But the whole point of my channel is to try and look at things from a balanced perspective. And maybe I expect a little bit more. But I just don't want Leeds United to be scrapping down at the end of the league with a point to go into the last game of the season. When there's opportunities to pick up points, we should have got points against Burnley. They're the games I expected. Do I expect it against Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester United, West Ham, or Manchester City? No, I don't. But against the teams that are below you, you've got to look at winning those games. You've got to look at being on the front foot, especially at home. It was the best of halves. It was the worst of halves. So I'm not the only one seeing it this way. Just freshen up the side and the players knackered. That's all it is. And that's all we're asking for. And that's the point of a squad, isn't it? I think we need to switch to 3-5-2. DCL needs Metro up front with him. We need somebody up front with him. But in the first half, there was people up there with him. Tanaka was getting to him. 2 wingers were getting to him. It was all very, very good. Yeah, we'll hold 10 games, maybe, Rick. We'll see how we go. We made them look a lot better than what they are. Not sure we need to sit back for 45 minutes. So good on the front foot. We are so good on the front foot. There's a massive positive. Leeds, when they are on the front foot, are excellent. Pat says there's no way we can stay on the front foot for 90 minutes. No, but can we do more than 45? Or 60 as the first half was. Can we do more than one half? Just want to see Leeds try and push out a little bit more. And what I mean by that is I'm happy with the defending. We defended really well for most of the game. Limited them to chances, which is really good as well. The defending was very good. It was very good. I'm not criticizing that. My point is this. There are times in a game where you can get out from your 18-yard line. So when the ball does go forward and goes out for a goal kick, that's a restart. You've got a chance to get your back line out to halfway between the two halves, your midfield over the halfway line, your front three up, to make it difficult for them to play out. But we sat in our own half, and that means it's easier for them to get to the halfway line, and then we don't engage them to the halfway line. But that's how I look at it, football. That's how I would like it to be done. Daniel Farke's got a different vibe. He's a different manager. He picks his own team. That's fine. That's his tactics, and ultimately judge it by the end of the season. 5 was brilliant. Fans were non-stop all game. I say Brendan man of the match. Yeah, I thought it was excellent. Thanks, Kelvin. Aronson pulled out of the shot to make it 3, bottled it, and I would have put it to bed. Game, but again, yeah, I would have. I would agree with you on that one. Yeah, second half was shocking. Great analysis. Thanks, Kimberly. Dom says, but when we lose with good stats, people say the only stats. I never say that. So I don't know who says that, but I don't, because we had 60% stats last week, and I criticized the hell out of the team. So it's not me. So if this is aiming at somebody else, mate, I'd be aiming at them and not at me, because I don't say that. eye test is as important as the statistics. First half was up there with the match. Yeah, it was. And that's a huge point because I've talked about it for a few weeks. Everton and Newcastle, Leeds were really physical, really intense, in your face, making it difficult and uncomfortable for sides. In the first half in this game, we did exactly the same thing. And that, for me, I like that Leeds. I enjoy that Leeds. And again, that doesn't mean you have to be bombing on for 90 minutes. You have to be running around like a headless chicken. But you're close enough to your man, your marker. And when he gets it, you hit him. You're physical, and that's all it has to be. And first half was really, really good. That 2 halves were night and day. They really were, Frank. At home, you can tell these boys are just different until Farke has them parked the bus. The last moment of attacking threat from us was when Aronson deflected a shot off the crossbar. That was in the 58th minute. Jane says, we defended very well. Possession isn't goals. We've learned ourselves. But our possession is passive possession with a set block. We've got to move the ball. Possession with purpose, I always call it. Move the ball to get forward and move opposition players. But yeah, a little bit like Bournemouth at the end. A bit like Fulham as well at the end. I think Gabby and Noah really becoming solid left-sided pair. They were really good together, weren't they, today? They really were good. But the game states matter. They do. But you've got opportunities to reset every time the ball goes dead. That's a choice. We weren't shocking, but it doesn't suit us. No, we weren't. We weren't shocking at all. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we were bad. I'm saying I didn't like that second half. I really liked the first half. That's my point. That's what I'm saying about that. Do you think Farke said sit back? I don't know. I don't know whether it was a case that just got a bit leggy. The first half was a bit of a slog. We were so good in the first half and we dominated it. Could have just been a bit of tired legs and just didn't get at it quick enough in the second half. And then you're kind of set into a way. And maybe the game state comment that was made by Pat is probably right. And that's probably where that comes in, Pat. So possibly something to do with it as well. Nothing like a good debate here. Yeah. That's what we're here for. I'm not going to disrespect you for disagreeing. I mean, I hope that goes both ways, but yeah, it is what it is. Should Metcalf come on earlier? I would have brought him on about the 80th minute. I think Dan James and him in the 80th minute would have taken a bit of pressure off, but he made a change in 85, and that's the way it is. We did sip off way too much in the second half. Paul was in the stadium, so thanks for that, Paul. Adam says, I'd like to think that we wouldn't have sat back as much if we had more wing options. And that's a really good point as well. And I said that when I said maybe the changes were the factor. Maybe when you're looking at bringing a Jack Harrison on, you've just brought James Justin on. That left-hand side just isn't what it was. You've got 3 players there in Bial, Justin, and Harrison that haven't played together much. So you're likely to get that bit of a drop-off as well. So that is to be expected. I'm not moaning or whinging by any stretch of imagination, but I am trying to talk about the whole game in its entirety. It should have been attack from the start to finish when Harrison came on instant. Instead of James, we were going to go defensive. Fotmob gave it to man of the match to Brendan. Yeah. Sky gave it to Rodon. Really good today, Joe. Really good. Great to get his goal, but I thought Brendan was very good. I thought Anthony was really good as well, bar that one switch off moment. I'd like to vid, guys. Help. Yeah, if you could stick a like on the video as well, that would really help. YouTube have told us this week that likes and comments are the most important thing for the channel. Ignore views. They've even said to me that likes pay the bills, essentially, is what they've said to us. Michael said you could see on Sky after the match, Daniel Farke frowned with what you could say was an expression of we scrapped through the second half. Hopefully Daniel Farke is watching. I think, but there's another side to this. To give Daniel Farke a bit of credit here and take a bit of pressure off his shoulders for a second, because he got 3 points here tonight, and that's important. Maybe there's a player mentality there. The players decided we'll sit in, and maybe Farke didn't want them to sit in. But the only time I saw Daniel Farke telling them to get out was after we conceded. But he'll tell us in the post match. I'll try and get some post match comments if they're out before we do this. Mark says, "Love the analysis, Jer. So do tens of thousands of others. Don't worry about a few negative." And I don't mind people telling me I'm wrong. I have no issue with that at all. And that's the whole point of football. It's a game of opinions. We all see it differently. No problem, lads. I have no problem. If you see the game differently from me, if you think that that's how we should play and that you're happy with that, there's no problem with that. Absolute no issue at all. It's a game of opinions. I'm not going to push my opinion down your throat, but I am doing a review, so I am giving you my opinions on it. But the reason I'm going through the chat as well is that we can talk about this. So there we go. These late goals are taking years off my life. We need to sort that out, and that's the nitpicky bit. That's the bit you just want to get rid of that. Just stay tuned in, do your job, attack the ball, and that goes away. Thought DCL was a bit of a donkey whenever he touched the ball. Well, he had a centre back hanging out of him. It's not an easy gig on your own. I can tell you, I've done it. It's not an easy, and I played it on a much lower level than him. It's not an easy one, but there is a valid point there. Lucas Mecha does do that hold up play with the arms around the centre back far better, and he did it when he came on really well. And I think Daniel Farke has got a good opportunity with those two players. He can do a like for like switch and freshen it up, and he gets slightly different types. Carvalho very good at flicking the ball on in space and heading the ball down to players. Mecha very good at holding the ball up and bringing players into the game. And maybe taking a bit more pressure off you as well. So I think he's got good options there. He can change it around if he wants to. Paul said, I understand your point, but when you're 2-0, you want to conserve energy. Yeah. Now, you're right. But I can tell you this, and you can ask anyone who's played the game. When you don't have the ball, you expend way more energy than when you have the ball. When you've got the ball, you can dictate the tempo. There's less running involved. You can pass around. Less players have to move. When you don't have the ball, you're being dragged up, down, left, right, press, drop, go and press it, try and take a tackle, then chase the ball down. So when you don't have the ball, it tires you out far more than it does when you have it. So I've no problem at least sitting back, but when you get the ball, you've got to keep hold of it and take the pressure off you and ease the pressure on the legs as well. So, but yeah, Okafor coming off change second half. He's the difference maker. Moves us forward. Now, I'm going to say something to you now. That sounded like I was going to say something controversial. I'm not. There was a story that came out today after I got the news out, and it basically said that there was an investor meeting at Ellen Road today, that the big dogs were all in Leeds, and a lot of the investors came over, with the exception of Will Farrell, Russell Crowe. They didn't attend. But outside of them, the rest were here today. They did a tour of Thorpe Arch and Ellen Road, and there was a meeting of the investors. Now, apparently, all that was said in the report that I read was the meeting was to discuss the performance of the team so far this season with Daniel Farke. That's not a negative. That's just, quarter of the season gone. Let's check in and have a report, see how we're getting on. But the second part was to discuss January and funding for January transfers. So Leeds will maybe now look at doing something, but if they can get another creative player on the right-hand side like Okafor on the left, it's a much better looking team, isn't it? And it takes a lot of pressure off with changes. Hard, Jared, to push out when you're risking. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I get that. But we did it against Burnley. We had 10 men in their half for so much of the game, and they beat us. So there's always a flip side with Kelvin. But yeah, it isn't easy to get out. And that's why I say when the ball is kicked long down the park and it goes out for a goal kick, that's when your defense goes, get out. Now we get out. We've got a couple of minutes. Let's get out. Let's set ourselves. When free kicks are given, when players are down injured, that's when you can get a chance to reset. And we didn't do it as much as we could have done. But again, if Ethan Ampadu doesn't switch off for that split second, we're talking about a very good second half defensive performance. The question is, do we need to do that? Probably not as much. But because you concede the goal, then it's a case of, well, we sat back again and we conceded again. And that's the narrative changed with the goals, unfortunately. Daniel Farke himself has said that the goals will dictate the narrative, and he's right. Squirrel says, hi, Jer. I thought we got the predictions right till the last minute. Yeah, went for 2-0. Rick is saying, okay, onto the one. Rajiv is saying, even Jer, great 3 points. Notice this third time this season that we've conceded in the 90-plus minute. The low block in the end needs to be rethinked. Yeah, I agree. I don't agree with us playing a low block. I don't think we do it well. 3 defenders, you would. 3 center backs, you would. But again, it's individual errors. It's not a managerial issue. It's individual mistakes. It's, again, players switching off. Anton Stack last week switching off. Ethan Ampadu switching off this week. Happens, unfortunately. I think Dan James is back to full fitness. Well, absolutely. Especially trying to get out. So that argument, again, going back to what Calvin was saying about being hard to get out. If you've got a player like Dan James, he gets you out. Michael says Okafor is going to be so important for us this season staying up. And I hope the decision to take him off was just, you've done your job. We're taking you out now just to make sure you're okay, and we don't want to risk you for next week. It would be on the team. Hope springs eternal. Always good to listen, Jer. I hope expect us to finish 16th, 17th. And I don't expect us to be done. I'm the same with you, Pat. I think 16th, 17th. But I think my criticism come from to finish 16th, 17th, there's points you've got to take off certain teams. West Ham are one of them. They're below us. Wolverhampton Wanderers are one of those. Burnley are another one of those. So that's where you're going to get your 10 wins that will keep you in the Premier League. So there are certain games this year where we've got to look at it and go, we need to expect a little bit better in those games. When you play the better sides, 100%. I expect us to be under the cosh for most of those games. And if we can get a point in any of those games, they're massive points. But absolutely. John saying, enjoyed the win, but just held on to a poor West Ham team. Let's not get giddy. I think West Ham go down this year. I really do. It could have been a case of tired legs. Absolutely. It definitely could have been a case of tired legs. They got you a huge shift from this, Joe. Stop this to game management. I knew you'd say that. In my head, I was like, Joe Wayman's telling everyone game management. Not from 45 minutes on. It's not. No, it's not. It's not game management. But had that ball not gone in, it's a good defensive performance. And even outside the ball going in, it's still a very, very good defensive performance from Leeds. But how good we were on the front foot. Chris James can't sit off for 10, 15 minute spells in games. Full half against a poor side isn't necessary. No, it's not. Calvin, just to finish up Calvin's comments on this, they brought on 6 fresh legs. Yep, and we didn't. We did late. And this is, again, the point. You can freshen these up. You've got players that could do it. So, yeah. Look, there's tons of comments. I'm not going to catch up on everyone's comments, but I appreciate everyone joining me tonight for the chat as well. But one last comment. Brendan Moore saying, spending millions and millions in January, get for 87 million release clause. We can worry about PSR point deduction in 4 years. Hey, if you get a player like Haaland, you don't have to worry about points deduction. They'll still be safe in the Premier League. But look, ultimately, to wrap this up and tie it all off in a neat bow, stick a like on the video if you can. That helps us. That is the number one thing YouTube have said that will help us. But we got 3 points tonight. It's a big 3 points. It opens a 7-point gap to that bottom 3. Very, very good in the first half. So we know we have that in us. Second half, outside of that one moment where we switched off, defended very, very well. The question will be, do we need to sit as deep as we did? And that is up to you. You make up your own mind on that. You make your own decisions on that. I know Joe's made up his mind on it. I have my decision on it. But I appreciate coming in for the debate, coming in for the chat, being respectful in the chat. And again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Hold my hands up. I don't mind at all. But yep, and to Peter's point, and I'm with you on this, Peter, I want Farke to succeed, but he needs to stay on the front foot. I want Daniel Farke to succeed. And I said this about Jesse Marsh as well, because if he does succeed, it means we've done well. And that's all we all want for Leeds United. So it is what it is. But give us a like on the way out the door if you can. I really, really appreciate it. And thanks again, as always, for supporting the channel. If you haven't checked out today's news, do go and have a look at that. Some interesting pieces there worth looking at. It's actually, of all the news videos this week, it's probably the one that had the most content in it, to be fair. So you can check that out. I'll try and get something out tomorrow. I'll try and get a few people on to have a chat about the game, and we'll see where we are. But I appreciate the late night conversation. I'm in Joe Wayman late night territory right now, so I'll back out and let Joe have his late night chats with people. Thanks very much for supporting the channel. Good 3 points tonight for Leeds. Important 3 points, more importantly than anything else. And we'll see where we go going into the next 2 games. But an important couple of games still ahead for Leeds. We'll see where we go. But yeah, march on together. We keep pushing forward, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon. See you.